Okay, think back to this morning, or maybe like just a few minutes ago. When was the last time you actually looked in a mirror?
Hmm.
Was it, a quick check? Hair okay? Putting on
We
makeup?
use them all the time, don't we? Almost without thinking.
Exactly. But have you ever just stopped and thought, wait, where did this thing, this mirror, actually come from?
It's a really good question. And the answer, well, it takes you on a pretty fascinating journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're so used to just see ourselves instantly. But getting here to the mirrors we have now, that's a long story. It started way, way back.
Okay, so we're going on a deep dive then. From like the very beginning to maybe the fancy LED ones people have now.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
From puddles to polished obsidian all the way to, yeah, modern mirrors. It's kind of mind-blowing when you unpack it.
All right, I'm intrigued. So, before humans started making things, what was the very first mirror?
Well, you have to think nature first, right?
Okay, like water.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A really still pool of water, a calm lake, maybe a puddle after rain.
You can totally picture someone, thousands of years ago leaning over and seeing a face look back.
It must have been, well, startling. Maybe even magical. Seeing yourself for the first time.
But probably not a very clear picture, right? A bit wobbly.
Oh, definitely not HD. A little breeze, a ripple,
Yeah.
and gone. Or all distorted.
Yeah. Not great for checking if you've got something in your teeth.
Not at all. But that fleeting glimpse, that mystery,
Huh.
you can see how it would capture the imagination. Maybe that's what sparked the idea, the desire to make something better, more reliable.
Okay, so humans decide they want a better reflection. Where does that lead? What are the first made mirrors?
This is where it gets really interesting. We have to go back about 8,000 years
Wow, 8,000. Where?
to what's now Turkey. Archaeologists found these objects, polished surfaces.
And what were they made of? Not glass, surely.
No glass yet. They were made of obsidian.
Obsidian, like volcanic rock.
Yep, that shiny black volcanic glass. They polished it and polished it until it gave off a reflection.
Huh. I'm just picturing someone back in, like, 6,000 BC, squinting into a piece of lava rock, trying to see if their hair looks okay.
Agrees. It puts things in perspective, doesn't it? Probably a pretty dim, maybe distorted reflection, too.
And in the puddle, I
A
guess?
step up. And it wasn't just obsidian. Other cultures used different materials. Think ancient Egypt.
Okay.
They used polished copper, gave us sort of reddish, warm reflection. And later, the Romans, they used polished silver.
So metal, basically, highly polished metal.
Exactly. But these early mirrors, whether obsidian or copper or silver, they were small.
And probably not cheap.
Oh, incredibly expensive. Think about the materials, the labor to polish them perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
These are luxury items, status symbols.
Right. Not something everyone had hanging in their hut.
Definitely not. They were precious, which tells you something about how much people already valued seeing themselves, even back then.
Okay, so we have polished rock and metal. How do we get to the glass mirrors we know? That feels like a huge leap.
It was a massive leap. And for that, we need to jump forward quite a bit to the 13th century.
13th century, where are we going?
Venice.
Ah, Venice.
Yeah.
Known for its glass making, right?
Exactly. Venetian glassmakers were pioneers. They figured out something crucial: how to make clear, flat glass. That itself was a huge deal.
Okay, clear, flat glass, but that's not a mirror yet.
No, but it's the essential first step. Then came the genius part. They developed a way to coat the back of this flat glass with a shiny metal mixture, usually tin and mercury.
Ah, so the glass provides the smooth surface, and the metal backing does the reflecting?
Precisely. And that was the birth of the modern mirror, more or less. Clear, bright reflections.
Wow.
Much better than polished metal.
It must have been revolutionary.
Totally. But again, these Venetian mirrors,
Yeah.
gorgeous, amazing, and wildly expensive.
Still luxury items then.
Absolutely. Owned by royalty, the super wealthy. Having a Venetian mirror was a massive display of wealth and sophistication.
I think I read somewhere that the secret of how to make them was, like, heavily guarded.
Oh, incredibly so. It was a huge trade secret for Venice. People literally risked their lives trying to smuggle the techniques out, especially to France. Industrial espionage over mirrors.
Wow. That tells you how valuable they were. So how did they finally become, well, normal? Something everyone could have.
That took another few centuries and another key invention. We need to go to the 1800s. Germany this time.
Okay, what happened there?
A German chemist, Justus von Liebig, he came up with a new process. Instead of the tricky and frankly toxic tin-mercury mix,
Yeah.
he developed a way to chemically coat glass with a very thin layer of pure silver.
Silver. Like the Romans used, but on glass.
Kind of, but this chemical process was much more efficient. It made the mirrors brighter, the reflection clearer, and crucially,
Cheaper.
much cheaper. And safer, too, getting rid of the mercury. This silvering process basically made mass production possible.
And is that still how most mirrors are made today?
Fundamentally, yes. The core idea, clear glass plus a thin metallic layer, usually silver or aluminum, now that's still it. Glass plus metal equals reflection magic. Liebig really democratized the mirror.
So they went from being these super rare, precious objects to something you could find almost anywhere.
Exactly. And once they became common, well, our relationship with them started to change too, didn't it? It wasn't just about the technology anymore.
Right, because when everyone has one, they start to mean something different. They become part of our psychology almost.
That's a great way to put it. They're not just passive objects. They can feel, well, quite powerful. Think about how we use them.
Yeah, like for judgment, right. Checking yourself out, building yourself up, or maybe sometimes tearing yourself down a bit.
Absolutely. Judging our appearance, checking if we're presentable for the world, they can be tools for confidence or sometimes sources of anxiety.
You find them everywhere too, like elevators. Why are there always mirrors in elevators?
Huh. It's true. Maybe to make the space feel bigger or just so we have something to awkwardly look at besides other people.
Or changing rooms, often with the worst lighting ever.
Oh, yes. And gyms, of course. Watching yourself exercise. And bathrooms, obviously. That's prime mirror territory.
It's like we have this complicated dance with them. Sometimes you feel good, you seek out a mirror, like, yeah, looking okay today.
And other times, if you're feeling down, you might actually avoid looking. You don't want to see that reflection.
Totally, which just shows how much emotional weight they carry, doesn't it?
It really does. And it goes beyond just personal psychology. Think about culture, folklore.
Oh, yeah. Like breaking a mirror is bad luck. 7 years, right?
That's the one. Or the old idea that a mirror could trap your soul, or that they were portals to another world.
Spooky stuff. But it shows people have always seen them as more than just glass and metal. There's a mystique there.
Definitely. And you can't talk about mirrors without mentioning the most famous phrase.
Mirror, mirror on the wall.
Exactly. From fairy tales, but it taps into something really deep, that desire for validation, for knowing how we measure up.
So when we circle back to that original question, where do mirrors really come from?
Well, physically, we've traced it. Obsidian, copper, silver, Venetian glass, silvered glass, science and ingenuity.
But maybe the deeper origin is us, our own need to see ourselves.
I think that's exactly it.
Yeah.
It comes from this fundamental human curiosity, this desire for self-awareness, to know what we look like, to connect the me inside with the face the world sees.
That need to just check in. Who am I presenting today?
Precisely. So in that sense, mirrors are tied up completely with identity.
So the next time you glance in the mirror, maybe doing your hair or whatever,
Yeah.
it's not just about whether that one bit is sticking up. It's kind of like asking, who am I right now? Do I like what I see? Even if it's subconscious.
That's a really powerful thought, taking that extra second to think about what's actually happening in that moment of reflection.
Because you're not just looking at glass, you're looking at, what, 8,000 years of history?
8,000 years of invention, human curiosity, this constant drive to see and understand ourselves.
When you put it like that.
Thanks.
It's kind of beautiful, actually.
It really is. Even the most ordinary mirror holds that incredible story.
So maybe next time you catch your reflection, just take that moment, think about that journey, and maybe ask yourself, how has your relationship with mirrors changed over your life? And what could future mirrors possibly show us about ourselves? That's something to think about.